We have to stop flights from Guinea. She was silent. She gave an interview 2 days ago to New York One and didn't once mention the security risk of Ebola.
What evidence is there that Bellevue is not ready, though?
The mayor is in there talking about a virus and a disease that all of a sudden just happened to be on our shores. This hospital doesn't have the equipment to handle the mass amount of quarantine that could be affected now that we have one person. We have a girl, his girlfriend is in quarantine.
Right.
He's here in quarantine in a medical facility, and he was out amongst the public bowling. He was taking cabs, he was on the subway. How could we let someone at such a risk come to the city and do that? I'll tell you how it happens. When leaders don't step up and defend the public square in Congress and in the White House.
Well, your name again is Nick
Di Orio.
Republican.
I'm a Republican running for Congress in the 12th district. It goes from 96th Street on the Upper East Side, and it comes down to Houston, and it includes more hospitals in one district than any other district in the country. And Karen Maloney is MIA. She's nowhere to be found.
I just wanted to issue, the governor last week announced that 8 hospitals were going to be Ebola ready, including Bellevue, which was not part of that originally. So obviously the state thinks that this hospital can handle these patients.
Oh, I'm not saying that it can't handle this one patient. I'm saying that the city, Karen Maloney represents this part of the district, this part of the city, wasn't on task making sure that that people who were infected weren't coming into this country, and she wasn't on task in making sure that the president had the federal funding ready for this facility to get Ebola prepared. There was a hospital in Queens which had an Ebola preparation meeting last week. Last week they were ready to go. Karen Maloney was nowhere to be found. Okay? Leadership is about making sure that when a crisis comes up, people are ready. Karen Maloney has been off the job from day one, and she's not ready to handle this. And now every New Yorker is worried. I had with respect, I had a phone call with my mom last night, and she is scared to death that one of her children is in a city that's going to be infected with Ebola. And it's not because she's worried about me, it's because she knows that someone at the top of government should have been ready to handle this. Crises develop when leadership is not present, and Karen Maloney is not a leader. She's an underperformer legislatively, and she's not ready to handle the job, not only today, but she hasn't been able to handle it years ago. And that's why this race is so important. She is a 22-year incumbent, and she's been off the job, and she hasn't taken seriously the issues of the day. You know what her priority is? Her priority is making sure that New York City has a new panda. She took a week off the job in August to make sure that there was a panda coming back to New York City. Now that might seem fun and it might seem okay, but when people are paying attention to small, insignificant issues, things like this get missed. And that's what's happening today. That's why this press conference is so important, not only to New York City, but to the country.
So how about the situation of the pencil right now in Austria?
Say again?
How about the situation of the pencil right now?
The sterilization issue is very important, but it's not only important for this hospital, it's important for every place where this Ebola patient came into contact with. We have a bowling alley that's being sterilized because he was out with his friends or with whomever thinking that he could take the risk of being in public when he knew that he was going to be in a public space, and he knew that he was with infected patients in Africa. And the very fact that he was able to come to this country is a sign that we don't have leadership in Washington, and we don't have leadership in this district. And this is a place that should have been prepared. It may be prepared for one person, but it's certainly not prepared for the entire city to get the treatment that it's going to need. And I might say that having worked in the pharmaceutical business, I know that the FDA hasn't done the job to get this country ready for epidemics like this.
How about the subway?
The subway is the way in which millions of people travel every day, and if we're not ready to make sure that mass transit is up and running, this city comes to a fault. We're talking about economic deficiencies, we're talking about people not being able to get to the other hospitals they're going to, and we're talking about individuals who need to be able to get around. And if we have a subway system that's stalled, just like we saw in Sandy. During Sandy, I was trapped. I was living in the Bronx. I was trapped in Manhattan because the subways and the tunnels and the trains weren't able to get to the Upper East Side. If that happens again, we're going to be in a bigger crisis mode than we already are now.